Welcome back to our Cleaning Chemistry Expert Series on Beyond Clean with Michael Matthews, Clinical Education Specialist with Healthmark, a Getinge company. And in our last episode, we talked about the nature of enzymes and how those impact our cleaning chemistries. Today, we're going to talk about what specific soils and even what kind of specialties that we may have in our own facilities that are going to be helped or in some cases harmed by our choice of cleaning chemistries. So thanks for coming back with us on our expert series, Michael. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. We're having a lot of fun here. I'm enjoying this.
I am too. And this is one of those often overlooked topics is the nuts and bolts behind our detergent. So last time we talked about what makes an enzyme. Now I want to ask you, when is an enzymatic detergent maybe not the best choice for the type of instrumentation or the type of surgical procedures that are going on in your facility?
Yeah, I mean, this really comes back to something we mentioned in the previous episode that enzymes are biological in nature. Now, they're not alive, like we said in the previous one, but they are biologically derived. And so the consequence of that is that if an enzyme is introduced into the body will sometimes react as though it does have a living foreign invader. And we see this most acutely, or I should say, maybe best well documented in relation to ocular surgery. We are all probably aware, if you've been in the industry for a while, you're aware of this thing called toxic anterior segment syndrome. And we call that for short TAS. And what TAS is it's the reaction of ocular tissue, so the tissue of your eye, reacting in a way as though it's being attacked by like a virus or bacteria, even though there's actually nothing alive there. But the way the body reacts to it can sometimes actually do damage to the tissue, and that's what's happening in TAS. Is your body is sort of overreacting. It detects this biological contaminant, it overreacts, and you get things like swelling, and that swelling in the area, particularly the eye, can do a lot of damage to things like the ocular nerves, the ocular blood flow, and it can in some cases even destroy the nerves and the blood flow to the eye. And so when we say matching it to the right task, say a lot of ocular instruments will say specifically to not use an enzymatic cleaner when cleaning eye instruments. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the cleaning of the enzyme. The problem is that unless you are extremely meticulous to rinse every bit of that enzymatic residue off of the instrument, when that enzymatic residue gets introduced into that eye tissue, the eye will react with TAS. TAS is the end result of that reaction. And so again, it's not really so much a problem with the enzymatic. The problem is with the rinsing. And of course, you might say, what if you rinse it perfectly every time? Well, if you rinsed it perfectly every time, it wouldn't be a risk. But how do you
Right.
prove that? How do you know that?
Yeah.
And so a lot of manufacturers have recommended just avoid the whole issue altogether and just don't use an enzymatic cleaner when cleaning eye instruments.
And that makes perfect sense because when we look at engineering controls, if I'm betting that somebody's going to do the task perfectly every single time, or I'm just providing the right type of cleaning chemistry for the instrumentation that we have, one of those is a better engineering control for patient safety.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because again, like if you rinse it perfectly every time, yeah, but are you going to be able to rinse it perfectly every time? I
Yeah,
mean, there's a lot going on in sterile processing, right? You got
there
a lot of
is.
voices telling you to hurry up and go faster, and it's like, well, all it takes is that one mistake and that to rinse it, miss one spot, and boom, you've got an issue.
Yep, it absolutely isn't. And it in a resource constrained department, do we have the time to flush everything? Do we have the sterile water to flush everything appropriately, or even RODI water to do that final rinse, hoping that we don't have any enzymes left that may be exposed to the patient?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked about ophthalmology surgeries. Are there other specialties that come with unique risks when it comes to our cleaning chemistries?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're going to get a little bit more into this when we talk about pH, but using something with a particularly high pH can absolutely damage instrument types that are made out of aluminum. And I know we're going to dig into that a little bit more at a later time. But again, remembering material compatibility will absolutely affect the ability of the detergents to clean effectively without damaging the instruments. But specific to enzymes, for example, like I said, we know everybody's kind of aware of TAS because there was a couple of really well documented outbreaks that relate to that. The truth is, we really don't know a lot about the potential impacts. Like I've read a couple of papers that implied that enzymatics may play a part in implant rejection in some surgeries. And of course, that's interesting to think about when you've got reprocessable screws and plates that are used in trauma sets. There are some indication that the brain may be very susceptible to these types of residues as well. But again, they're not very well documented, and we don't really have the smoking gun kind of the way we do with TAS. And so I think there is opportunity for more research on this topic. And I think at the root of a lot of these is really that rinsing piece. And the rinsing piece, that's why it's so critically important. And also the water quality that we're using to rinse becomes so critically important. And that's why I'm very grateful that ST108 is out there on the market, because this is a blind spot for us. And this is one of those things where we may be doing more harm than we were actually aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if we don't know what the risk is. If it's something we're not sure of, or maybe we are making assumptions along the way that this is working perfectly well or presenting no risk to the patient, that can snowball into like you said, a smoking gun. Now, when it comes to the type of soil, we talked in our last episode about each enzyme being the right type for the tool. And it's that balancing act of getting the right strength for cleaning without damaging the instrument. Now, certain soils, and I think of a lot of neurosurgery, places where you have cerebral spinal fluid exposed to the instruments. How do those unique types of soils impact how we're cleaning and what chemistries we should be using?
Absolutely. And so, a lot of it depends on what type of soil that you're going to be using. So, for example, if you're doing a lot of bowel cases, right, you probably want to have something that has that cellulase in there. And of course, we talked about flexible endoscopes specifically, but even things like bowel resections, right, may have that as an issue. And then, obviously, if you're talking about the brain, well, the brain is largely fat. And so, if you're doing a lot of neuro procedures, you may want to lean more heavily on the lipase side of your detergent, and so or your enzymatic. And so, again, like knowing what your case mix is will help you target things a little bit better than sort of trying to do just like let's just do everything. And if you do that sort of let's do everything approach, you're just simply not going to be as effective as what you could be if you were using a much more targeted approach.
Absolutely. And it goes back to a topic that we're going to tackle in another episode is getting the right people in the room when these detergent and cleaning chemistry selections are made. This has been another episode of our Cleaning Chemistry Expert Series with Michael Matthews. Stay tuned for our next segment. Thank you.